Good morning, everyone. Hopefully, everyone had an easy time getting here, unlike right after the pandemic when you'd spend more time on the tarmac than you would spend in the plane. I want to thank all of you who came. I know everyone has busy schedules, and I know that the work seems to continue to pile up even as we do more and more. So thank you very much for taking time out of your schedules to come. It's going to be a very busy week. We've got lots of sessions, and then we have the showcase at the end of the week. I'd like to thank the National Library of Medicine for supporting us in having this conference in Atlanta, and welcome to Atlanta. If you walk around, there's some very, very nice places to walk and things to see. So do take a chance to get out into the sunshine. I think yesterday it was 23. And where I'm from, I think it was 3. So, and it was heavy rain, so I'm quite glad to be here. Yesterday we had the member forum and some other meetings that started the kind of the pre-conference, and there were lots of great discussions. And the discussions this week really will focus on where we stand as it relates to our current strategy, which will finish next year. And at this point, we're nearing the end line or the end goal. We anticipate by the end of this year, we'll have 86% of that strategy completed. And the other piece will be preparing for what comes next. So there'll be lots of discussions this week, initial discussions on where does the organization go and how does it adapt to changing times, changing healthcare, especially with what's happening with artificial intelligence, and also what's happening with those health systems that have changed because of the pandemic and are moving to more and more enabled systems, some of which are virtual. And the big thing in healthcare right now is how do you move the information around safely, securely, but also have it structured so the healthcare providers and those that fund them can have a better idea of what's happening and where they need to devote resources, especially since resources are scarce these days. So again, I want to welcome you. I hope you enjoy the conference. I'll be wandering around most of the week, so if you need to talk to me about something or just want to say hello, I welcome that. So have a great time, and I'll turn it over to Kelly as we start the conference agenda.
Good morning, everyone. Hello. Welcome to Atlanta. As Don said, I'd also like to give a warm welcome to all those that are joining us online today. Thanks for making the time to tune in and get a little bit of an update. This has been a bit of a tradition that we formed here at SNOMED International to kick off the business meetings as a way to update you on what's the recent developments from the organization side of from a number of our different areas and a number of our different subject matter experts. So this morning, if I could have the slides, please. Thank you. This morning, we're going to take you through 6 updates from the organization. The first is the global report, and we're going to be having Liara Tutina join us for that. Rory Davidson, the organization's CIO, is going to take us through a products and services update. Dr. Jim Case is going to take us through some of what's new and developing in the content area. We've got Anna Randorf-Hoyen coming to talk to us about what's new in implementation support, which has definitely been an area that's been moving along rapidly. We've got Ian Green, who's going to brief us on what's new in the clinical engagement domain. And then we're going to finish things off with Andrew Atkinson to talk about the numerous releases that the organization has been putting out on a monthly basis. So with that, without further ado, I'd like to invite Liara Tutina up to the stage to deliver the global report. And there's the book.
And cancer synoptic reporting is one of the projects that have been kicked off. We're supporting in Italy for adoption of SNOMED CT and have provided license for 2 years. We're expecting that towards the end of this development, there will be wider adoption and wider awareness of SNOMED CT that may promote a national adoption and membership. Initiative is those initiatives more broadly. We also have a lot of activity happening in Americas region, and 2 new countries who recently joined, El Salvador and Jamaica, have been fully onboarded. So those countries are embracing SNOMED CT at various stages and degrees of adoption, and more to come. This is truly testing my memory now, but we will continue. So in terms of other activities, we also have a wide range of vendor engagement activities. We have global license that has been extended further for pharmaceutical organization Otsuka Pharmaceuticals that has been promoting SNOMED adoption beyond the borders of numerous countries. We also have, I'm skipping here, but that's all right, I'm still relying on my memory. We have also the framework for certification that has been extended to the to development phase, and that will allow the vendors who wish to implement SNOMED CT to be certified for their adoption of SNOMED CT within their products. So that will be like a seal of quality, and also provide assurance to those countries, governments and users who wish to have high quality implementations of SNOMED CT within vendor products. Right, I think we're going to the next slide in case I might have missed something. So I'll take you through some regional updates. So we will start with Americas. So I would like to say that there's a lot of activities happening at the moment. There's PAHOS and other events that Susie has been able to attend, and there's interest of interoperability in terminology in general. So that is quite exciting development. There's also discussions currently happening with Colombia and Ministry of Health, and there's actually quite an advanced stage of negotiations happening. So we're hoping that this will lead us to further membership. Okay, thank you. Okay, great, thank you. So we also have supported adoption of Canadian clinical drug data set, and that is in full swing. Thank you for the content team efforts and other teams who have contributed to that. We have also assisted Uruguay with data analytics initiatives, so that will promote SNOMED adoption in that country as well. Now, moving over to Europe and Middle East. As mentioned before, EU or European Union is a very advanced, I would say, user community of SNOMED. As you know, there are 30 countries amongst our members who are European Union countries, and there's a lot of work happening in this area. So as I mentioned before, there's various projects that are underway, but also we have participated in various forums. There is MIE 2023 forum that we have participated, as well as other areas where work is underway, more to be updated on once we have more progress. Also to mention, Middle East is also advancing quite rapidly. Qatar is in a process of finalizing membership, so we're hoping they will join our family of members soon. We are also in discussions with Kuwait, and there may be more development happening soon. UAE is creating a REPSET for clinical findings and disorders, and more work is continuing in that space. Now, last not but least, we have Asia Pacific, some activities happening in various countries. More broadly, I'd say that Indonesia, we have completed a full range of onboarding activities, both online and in person, and country is embracing one of the most advanced national adoption programs in the region, I would say, of cross-border within the region, so to speak, within the country itself, adoption of e-health data, and SNOMED CT is the primary clinical terminology that has been selected for patient records, and the National Release Center and the Ministry of Health is promoting wider adoption. So we're working with Indonesia on that. We have also had a great opportunity to promote SNOMED in China. We were invited to attend a conference called CHIMA, which is one of the largest two national conferences for the hospital utilization of information technologies, and we had presentation there as well as various discussions with stakeholders. We also have attended MedInfo 2023 conference that was held in Sydney earlier this year. There was participation from global audience and overall a lot of interest, and SNOMED CT well and truly was a known quantity, which is really good to see. And finally, just to mention that there are also activities happening in the region. We're in discussions with Kyrgyzstan about their early stages of interest of using SNOMED CT. I will wrap it up with that and pass on to the next speaker.
Thank you, Liara. That was a really great update and way to think fast on your feet. Now inviting Roy Davidson up to give us some of his insights on products and services at the organization.
Yep. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Welcome to Atlanta. Great to see everybody. As always, it's good to get back together and see friends and family. I had a really great slide deck. Honestly, it was going to blow your minds, but you'll just have to imagine it now. It might appear. We'll get the bizarre multiple Zoom windows thing again, which is also interesting.
We'll provide them, Rory, don't worry. We'll post them after if we can't get them up for this presentation. Thanks.
It's going to be great. So here to talk about what we're doing in products and services. We're doing a hell of a lot that's going on, but really a kind of introduction to products and services. What do we do? We do terminology and we do technology. We make sure that we have a quality product going out the door, that we have tools that can support it, that we have tools that can be used in the community, it can help our members. We look after the strategic direction of where we're going with the product. We develop software, we do release management. I mean, there's a long list, I keep on going. I didn't mention that we also do, operations and Zoom support because we don't want to talk about that today. But the team does a lot of stuff. It's a really busy team. There's a lot of people doing a lot of work and really working and controlling the product, making sure we have something that goes out the door that meets all your requirements and continues to grow to meet the growing requirements that we keep on facing. But I wanted to talk about a couple of kind of key items that, again, would look really good on the slide, but I'll talk to them anyway. And there's a couple of key things that it's worth mentioning, and they'll be mentioned throughout the week. Don mentioned some of these at the beginning as well. The first one, I think, is really one of the biggest things I think I've been involved in and seen the progress since I've been involved in this world, is the collaboration work with the Regent Street team on the loin extension, the loin ontology. I was very lucky to go to a great conference last week here. So this is day 5 of conference time. But it was a great conference with the loin team, and we had a lot of great discussions, a lot of enthusiasm and excitement about the work that we're working on together. And this is, having an extension of SNOMED CT, which contains the loin content. I think everybody here will recognize how useful that is, how real, it's a real step in advance. It's a proper move forward in how we integrate standards. I think that's a really important piece of work. And it's involved a lot of people in the organization. It's involved the collaboration teams, it's involved, oh, it's back, okay. Wait, that was the first one. Look quickly, remember what I said, it makes sense now. Next slide, please. That used to be my job. I was the next slide person, so yeah, I'd like to delegate to the team. Thank you. Next slide, please. I'm just waving at Joe at the back. So this was the reef loink thing. And so it's been really good. We're going to have a great morning on Wednesday. We're going to tell you what we've done, what's been available. Some of you will know that the preview went out on Monday last week. And that was a preview with 23,800 loink terms. Much more than we expected to do. Really exciting to see what people do with it. So, come to that meeting on Monday. I mean, I know everybody's double, triple booked this week in meetings, but if you can, do come to that session. Ooh, oh, damn it. Oh, God, here we go. Back, please. It's like a line dance, announcing forward. And back, please. Okay, imagine you hadn't seen that bit on the side. So the first one on this side, which is the terminology syndication. It's something that's not really been talked about, but we've been aiming towards this over the years. It's how do we get into a more automated world of distributing SNOMED CT. We all know we have MLDS in SNOMED International, used by quite a few member countries. We have TRUD in the UK, there's UMLS in the US, and so on and so on. How do we make sure that that's not just people logging in, registering, and downloading, having to keep an eye out for emails? And so this is done in many other industries. This is not new technology. We wanted to do something in our world to make this simple to use. So leaning on the great work that was done by down in Australia about distributing terminology standards, we came up with a standard to have terminology syndication. And this is now implemented on MLDS, which means that if you are a country who uses MLDS, your affiliates can now use the feed to automatically down SNOMED CT when it becomes available. And this feeds into a bigger picture of terminology as a service, syndication in an easier way. And that's been a real advance to do that. So that's something that you'll hear about. If you want more information, please do come and see me or anybody in the team. So the other thing you hadn't seen, but now you've seen, which I was going to go, hello, Dave. AI, we all talk about AI, it's the cool tool. But we've actually been doing quite a lot of work in AI. We just kind of finished the first step in thinking about what does AI mean for the organization, for the product, for our community, for healthcare. And there's a lot going on in this world, and there's a lot of hype. And what do we need to do to get through the hype to the stuff that's going to really help us? And so we have a session about that on Wednesday afternoon. So Loink in the morning, AI in the afternoon. And we've got some great speakers. And we're also going to be talking about the Entity Linking Challenge. So this is a really exciting thing that we've been working on for the last 2 years. This will be launching on Wednesday. Please do come to that session. It's essentially a challenge to allow you to get as many people as you can to take part to essentially create coding unstructured data. We've been working and partnering with the PhysioNet team at MIT on the Mimic4 dataset. And this means that we're going to have essentially one of the largest publicly available annotated data sets that can be used for other research and development once the challenge is finished. So a great piece of information, do come to that. There you go. There we go. So I think I had this slide, and I keep on saying this. I stole this from Peter Williams, if he's in the room. But it's a great slide, and it really was to say that we've been talking about our 5-year strategy. We're getting towards the end of the 5-year strategy, and what we're seeing is all the things we're doing is kind of coming together. It's that we're getting the band together. We're getting to a place where we can do stuff we couldn't do before. We couldn't do Loink extensions before we had community content. We couldn't start thinking about being able to do frequent releases until we'd done the tooling we needed to do previously. And so all of this is coming together along with the great work that Jim's going to speak to in the content team, new clinical domains, great collaborations. The collaboration with FHIR, I think, is just a great way how we work together now. It wasn't always the same in the past. We work very well together now. We move forward in the same direction. And it keeps on growing. And the quality, we spend a lot of time on our quality. We really try to make sure that it's as high quality we can possibly make it. So, and with all of that, I'm just the one talking, pressing the button. I stand on the shoulder of giants. This is the products and services team, some of whom are here, some of whom should be dialing in and listening. But otherwise, I just want to thank them all because it wouldn't be anywhere if they hadn't been doing all the work they do. So if you have any questions, identify anybody on that chessboard of, the colors are content and tech. But I shouldn't put a key, but yeah. I know this is the terminology room, but please reach out, speak to anybody, and anybody will be happy to answer any questions. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Rory. Also well done. I'd now like to invite Dr. Jim Case to give us some updates on content at SNOMED. And really do, if you have time in your schedule over the next couple of days, make some time to attend the launch session, the AI Symposium. There's a lot of really great pre-conference stuff going on this week. Over to you, Jim.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Just a brief update on some of the things that we're working on in content. The first one, which Rory intimated about, was the Quality Improvement Project. This is a project that was launched in 2018 in an effort to essentially improve the internal consistency of the modeling within SNOMED itself. And while it has taken longer than I think some people would like, I think that the benefits that we have achieved over this process have been significant. So just a little bit of statistics, because we can't have a talk in the morning without statistics. You can see that we're looking at a total number of concepts that have been involved in this, currently at around 360,000 concepts. And those concepts which do not have a model associated with them, all the primitive hierarchies and everything, obviously we can't do a structural consistency for those because there's nothing to base it on. So that leaves us with about 225,000, 226,000 concepts that are in scope. If you look at the comparison between 2023 and 2020, you see that there has been a lot of work that's been going on in addition to the quality improvement. We're pretty dynamic. We've increased the total number of concepts that we're dealing with by over 10,000, and those that are in scope by over 15,000. And the amount of content that has actually gone through the quality improvement process has increased from 25%, from 54,000 to 100,000 concepts. And we use templates as a way to verify that the concepts are actually fulfilling our quality KPIs. And we see that we've gone from 25% to 45%. So there has been substantial progress that has gone on in this. And while it's not our primary activity, there is a significant amount of work that's being done in this. What I would like to focus on this morning are a number of ongoing collaboration projects. It's just a few of the ones that we're working on right now. And I want to emphasize that all of these projects are member-driven. They're not driven by internal needs. These are all come from the community and are primarily driven by the community in terms of the work that's gone into it. So the first one is the nutrition clinical reference group. That project's been going on for a number of years now. It's driven by an international collaboration of nutrition professional societies throughout the world. It's been focusing on the creation of nutrition observables that can be used in ordering nutrition content within the hospital or the care environment. The project is now focusing on use cases for the creation of a nutrition care process terminology ref set that can then be distributed to users in an effort to focus on the work that they're doing in that area. They're now moving on to another area, so their work is not finished yet, even though they've been working for a number of years, that they're reviewing content under a number of other hierarchies within the terminology. And for an update on what's happening within that group, there's an expo presentation on Thursday at 1:30 in Hub 1. So we want to encourage people that are interested in this area to go on to that. The second project is a microbiology project group, which again is an international group that's collaborating on the addition of organisms that have been placed into national extensions, but organisms have international impact, and so they want to be able to consolidate those into a single set that can be promoted up into the international release. So since that group has been formed, we've promoted over 700 new concepts and created internally within the international release another 42 concepts related to bacteria and viruses. They have gone through most of the content that's existing within their extensions and done their review, and so now they're moving on to eukaryotic organisms such as protozoa and fungus. There's an update on this project that's being delivered again during the expo on Friday at 2 p.m. In Hub 4, and again, anybody that's interested in that should go to that conference. The next project is a very ambitious and needed project in terms of histology improvement. The histology hierarchy focusing on neoplasms has not been updated for many, many years. And so the pathology working group, which again is an international group that's been working on improving pathology content within the terminology, is doing a comprehensive review of all of the subtypes of neoplasm. Their aim is to align this terminology with the most current edition of the WHO classification of tumors, which is known in the community as the Blue Book. They've completed an initial review of one area, which is the epithelial neuroendocrine neoplasms, which was in dire need of updating, hadn't been updated for over 20 years. And we're producing now a consultation note to submit to the community of practice for comment on what impact those potential changes will have on their implementations. And then lastly, the Drug Content Analysis Project is an international group that is working similar in process to the microbiology group. A number of our member countries have gotten together to review drug content that exists within their extensions, to get together to look at what's international in scope, and then promote that content to the international release. They have completed the anti-infectives and are moving now on to oral antibiotic or anti-diabetic agents. There's a meeting on Wednesday afternoon at 1:30 in Hub 2. Again, anybody that's interested in that particular topic are encouraged to go. So these are all the ongoing projects that we have, not all of them. This is just a selection of the ongoing projects. We have a number of other ones that are going on too. But in addition to that, we have business as usual. So we have work that's continually coming in, and since we've moved to frequent releases, we've been actually able to produce more content quicker than we were able to do in the past. And so just looking at some average numbers of what's happened per release, the average number of new concepts that have been added to the terminology per month has been just shy of 1,000 new concepts. In addition, we've been making significant changes to around 400 concepts per month and modifying or adding new descriptions of around nearly 4,000 per month. I think one of the more significant statistics here is that greater than 80% of the content that's going into the terminology as new content is sufficiently defined. And that's part of the result of the QI project. We have more robust concept models that allow us to define this content. And the purpose of having sufficiently defined content is that it allows us to more easily apply automated methods to maintaining the terminology. So we want to leverage the terminology as much as possible to maintain it, because the terminology is very large and complex, and the more automated processes that we have, the better. The editorial advisory group is meeting this afternoon, where a lot of complex issues regarding terminology are going to be discussed. And so I would encourage anybody that's interested in that area to attend that meeting as well. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Kelly.
Thanks, Jim. Nicely done. So from content through to implementation, I'd like to invite Anna Hoyen to come and deliver us an update. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Hello, everyone, and it's good to see you all. I hope that you are ready for a great week in the name of SNOMED. So let me see if I can figure this out. Okay, so in the implementation team, we have selected 4 key work items that we would like to tell you about. One is the work we're doing on translation and the new translation portal. Then we have the implementation of SNOMED CT in Barmny, and the work we're doing on cancer synoptic reporting and the implementation guide for that, and the Simplex toolkit. So in the implementation team, which consists of Alejandro Lopez-Osornio, Kai Cooley, and myself, we are continuously working with our members and affiliates to support implementations. So being it national release centers, organizations with local SNOMED CT implementations, and vendors, we are meeting with them and discussing their implementation projects. Depending on their needs, we try to support them in delivering or achieving successful implementations with SNOMED. And part of this work really makes it evident how important SNOMED CT translations are to many of our members. It's essential that people that use a non-English language for capturing SNOMED CT needs a good translation of SNOMED CT to make it work effectively in their systems. And we have, through the years, produced a range of good material on translations, but we have now made that all available in a website that is part of our implementation support portal. So we have created this hub for the guidance and the principles and ways for new members and affiliates who wish to translate SNOMED CT to come in and to find these resources on translations. And you can look at that via the implementation support portal, and there is a translation menu at the top. We are also looking into other ways of enhancing translation support, but the first thing here is the new translation portal. And we have done this in collaboration with also the translation user group. So thank you to those of you who have been involved in the review and setting up this site. Then moving on to BAMNI. So BAMNI is an open source EHR system that is specifically targeted to low income or digitally immature or maturing countries. So an open source EHR where we over the past year have been working on implementing SNOMED CT into the BAMNI suite. So you can now, using terminology services and the expression constraint language, to specify what constraints you want to put on data entry for diagnosis procedures. And in the second phase of this work, we are also looking into more advanced features such as reporting, so utilizing the map between SNOMED CT and ICD-10 to support the statistical analysis of using ICD-10, but based on clinical information that is captured using SNOMED CT. We have also integrated a range of different clinical decision support features, such as some drug-drug interactions. And further to this, the data that is captured in BAMNI can now also be analyzed using Snowlytical. So some of you may know Snowlytical from the Expo last year, where we demonstrated an analytics tool where you can go in and do some various data analytics scenarios. But the data from BAMNI is now integrated with that system as well. Part of the BAMNI work is also the development of a new microfire terminology server. So this is, you can say, a lightweight version of the Snowstorm terminology server, but where you can, in systems where you don't have a lot of memory, or you have maybe you don't have internet connection, you can now actually run terminology services using this Fire micro terminology server. So next up is the work we are doing with the Cancer Synoptic Working Group on the development of the new implementation guide for cancer synoptic reporting. And as a bit of background to this, last year in the implementation team and together with Ian Green and Jane Miller, we developed a template for SNOMED implementation guides. So this is a template where that we have tried to set up in a quite generic format. So, because we asked ourselves, what is a SNOMED CT implementation guide? And that can lead to a bit of a debate, because it depends on what stakeholder you are trying to address. Because SNOMED CT implementations really spans across a broad scope of stakeholders. So this template for an implementation guide seeks to speak to both those with a pure clinical perspective and those with a pure technical perspective, and anything in between. A lot on terminology binding and how the SNOMED content is applied in different information models. And this guide, or a template for implementation guides, were trialed in the field of the allergy group, and there was published a new guide for an implementation guide for allergies earlier this year. And now we are applying all the good work that Scott Campbell and the Cancer Synoptic Reporting group has been doing to produce a new guide following the same template, and hopefully it will be published later this year. I know that Scott has a session, is it tomorrow, I believe, on cancer synoptic reporting. And now moving on to the Simplex toolkit, which is one of the things that is really occupying or capturing a lot of our attention these days. The Simplex toolkit is a new tool that is designed to support the easy creation of simple extensions. So that's where the name comes from, Simple Extension Toolkit, Simplex. So the fact is that SNOMED International has produced a range of good implementation tools. We have Snap to SNOMED, where you can map from a local code set to SNOMED. We have the RefSet and translation tool, where you can produce subsets, you can create translations. But there's no easy way for people that are not part of the managed service to then take those files and create an extension. So you have several options. You can be part of managed service, you can procure a system, a commercial system, but these systems may have the release feature themselves. So what to do with the output from our SNOMED International tools? And the Simplex toolkit is designed so that you can get started with your SNOMED CT derivatives, whether it being subsets and maps. You can start producing them in our tools, and then you can use the Simplex toolkit to create a SNOMED CT release package. If you're interested in seeing a demonstration of this Simplex toolkit, the state it is in now, it's not ready, but we have the ideas, the philosophy, and we have a demonstration ready. So on Wednesday morning, we have a session where we will also give a demonstration of this. Yeah, so I think that is the update from implementation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Anna. And Kai and Alejandro as well. I know everyone probably helped with that one. Thank you so much. We're now going to shift gears a tiny bit, and I'd like to invite Ian Green to talk to us about what's new in clinical engagement. There you go. There you go. Thank you.
So good morning, everyone. Nice to be here. So I'm going to give you an update on, I suppose it would help, on clinical engagement. So I'm here as the representative of a small but very well-formed team, made up of myself and my infamous colleague, Jane Miller, and the world-renowned Dr. Charles Guttridge. And we are here really to make sure that the clinical input goes into SNOMED in terms of its content, but also in terms of its derivatives. So we jokingly laugh that we have kind of fingers in every bit of work that SNOMED International does in some form or another. Most of you that have been around SNOMED for a while will be aware that the key bit of our work, if you like, is around the interaction that we have with clinical reference groups and project groups. The reason that we set up the groups is really just to get clinical discussions going. The discussions focus mainly on content issues. So it's all about the content which is in SNOMED in terms of, is it fit for purpose? Is it missing content? Are there things that need to be added? And if so, how? But also increasingly now, looking forwards, which Anna picked up on, is the bit about clinical implementation. So if you've got the content and it's all correct and all the clinicians think it's all marvelous, how do we get that into systems? How do we get people using it? At the moment, we have 8 clinical reference groups. There are 3 clinical project groups. That's about to expand a little. So we have a couple of proposals for future groups. There's actually 4, because there's one that I've recently just talked to someone about. So we're looking at developing a group around neurology, around public health. There will be, although it's obviously not a clinical reference group, there will be a social care reference group, picking up on some of the works that we did around social care and taking that forwards. And we'll also be looking at a group around radiology. One of the things which has been really beneficial, so all of those clinical reference groups or the clinical project groups have a clinical lead. We deliberately set about not leading those groups. They're all led by external clinicians in the various areas. We put a group together which bring together all of the chairs for each of the groups, the clinical leads group. And it's really been beneficial to re-facilitate some of the cross conversations between groups. So most clinical specialties interact with other clinical specialties. They don't exist in a vacuum. So having this group helps. It also gives us a way of getting really quick feedback on some of the things that we're planning to do around the clinical side. In terms of, this isn't a list of the only presentations that SNOMED International does, but these are three that I want to pick up on for a number of different reasons. The first one, so Charles and myself have been doing some presentations for Karolinska. What started off as a single presentation, be careful what you wish for, because we're now into, we've just had the email to do the fifth one of these. But essentially, we teach around SNOMED, around clinical analytics, re-giving practical examples of how SNOMED's used on the MSc course for clinical informatics at Karolinska. We've also put out feelers for other universities to do something similar, be that in person or be that on pre-recorded sessions. We regularly have a spot, because we know people, we keep getting invited back to MIE. So we did MIE 2023 this year, and more than likely we'll do MIE 2024 and 2025, and it will keep going on and on. The same thing with MIE. So the audience for MIE is more research orientated rather than clinical, practicing clinicians. So the session that we do really does focus on clinical analytics, about leveraging the expression constraint language, using queries, really looking at how you can use SNOMED in a big data setting. The one which is my personal favorite, if you like, but I would say this because the two conferences we're involved in. We were invited along to Vitalis. So for those of you that don't know, Vitalis is a Scandinavian conference. And we went along and did the usual kind of presentation on the use of SNOMED and analytics. But this time around, we also invited two of Charles's colleagues from Barts Health in London, who are advanced nurse practitioners, to come along and actually present SNOMED in terms of what they're using day to day. So using SNOMED to support their own nursing practice. One, it's the idea of developing clinical ambassadors, which is something that we're very keen on doing, because although there are three of us and we like talking, as most of you will know if you know me, there is a limit to how much three people can do. So the idea of getting clinicians who actually use SNOMED to talk about their usage mainly is more powerful. So it's a really powerful way of getting the message across. And the feedback that we got from the Vitalis presentations, not our presentation, but the nurses' presentations, was really positive. And it's something that we'll look to expand in the future. So Anne managed to basically pinch all my kind of points, but we'll kind of go with this. One of the things which we're very keen on doing was developing the implementation guides, as Anne's already mentioned. The real kind of discussion about doing these initially started off at targeting, oh, that's good. the screen's disappeared down here, I'll read off here. The target audience was really looking at clinicians and giving clear explanation of where the changes have been made in SNOMED, giving them an explanation of that so it was clearly understandable to clinicians, both what was done and how they would use that in clinical practice. As we previously said, we covered allergies was the initial kind of foray into this area, if you like. Cancer synoptic is where we're going currently with it, and where we're going in the future, we'll be looking at the nutrition care pathway. The implementation guides really are key. It's a key way of interacting between the technical side, if you like, and the clinical side. So making this usable for clinicians. Then the last slide is really just to a bit of PR, if you like. For a while, we've acknowledged that one of the things that we need to do long term is to develop clinical networks. And as well as heading up clinical engagement, as a lot of you know, I head up Europe, and a number of European countries have set up their own SNOMED networks within countries. But we've decided to set up one covering initially Latin America, so a LATAM SNOMED Clinical Network, because I couldn't think of a better name for it. The idea will be that it'll be a virtual network, it'll meet quarterly. It's really there to facilitate the engagement and benefits of what we're doing internationally, but to get that across to clinicians. I won't be leading it, mainly because the presentations are in Spanish, and I'm good, but I'm not that good. So the chair of the group will be Victor Medina, who is sitting in front of me, aided by Susie Roy, who's also sitting in front of me. We're looking at the first meeting being in November 2023, and it'll cover, initially because it's the first meeting, there'll be some background around SNOMED International, around the network and what it is, what it's meant to be, how it will develop. And then we're actually going to get an external speaker talking about public health use case in Argentina. The second meeting then will be in February, and so on every 3 months. I'd encourage you, obviously if you're in Latin America, to go along to the network as part of the SNOMED community. But more importantly, if you know, from South America, you know clinicians who are outside the SNOMED family, we'll call it, to invite those along. We'll be publicizing it a lot via social media, so Kelly and her team will be busy on X, formerly known as Twitter, and LinkedIn, and every other thing we can think of to get the message across. But it's an important development, so I'd encourage all of you to spread the word. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Ian and the team also have a pretty excellent pre-conference session oriented toward clinical registries, so something to check out on Wednesday. Now, do I have Andrew Atkinson in the room? I do. Release Manager Extraordinaire for SNOMED International. There you go, Andrew.
Very much.
Good luck.
Cheers. Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to Atlanta, and welcome to everyone's favorite section, the release management updates. I'm going to start you off with some new product releases. Here we're starting off with a product from the European Directorate for the Quality of Medicines. And this EDQM dose forms to SNOMED CT map was first published to production back in May 2023. You can find the RF2 map files, the release notes, and a really helpful user guide over in MLDS there. And for those of you who don't know, the EDQM database contains content that describes medicinal products, pharmaceutical dosage forms, and routes of administration. So that makes it a really useful linkage table. So I strongly encourage you to head over to MLDS, download the user guide, and check out the various different use cases that are contained in there and see which ones are applicable for yourselves. Next, we have the Spanish edition, and obviously, I know this is not a new product for us. It's actually one of our oldest. However, we are publishing various new processes for this, which I wanted to tell you about, because they allow us to leverage various different efficiencies to enable us to publish the Spanish edition much earlier than usual. So from this point onwards, we'll be publishing. Thanks for that. I know that's exciting. So from this point onwards, we'll be publishing the Spanish edition on the 31st of March and the 30th of September each year, as opposed to the old schedule, which was the 30th of April and the 31st of October. and that started back in September of this year. And this brings the Spanish edition closer into alignment with the dependent international edition releases. And that really helps out the various different NRCs and other users who utilize the Spanish edition. And so we'll definitely be refining that process down even further as we go along. So please keep your eyes peeled for future improvements on this schedule. And finally, we come to the first ever release of the SNOMED CT Managed Service South Korea extension. That was published last month and is available from the Korean NRC site and also direct from SNOMED International on demand. And this was published as an alpha release. And obviously there will be a production release forthcoming once the alpha feedback has been consumed, analyzed, and implemented. So if you want to get involved in that process, please go and grab the alpha package, review it, and provide us with some feedback as soon as possible. Next, a quick update on the transition to the first of the month for the international edition. As all of you know, when we moved over to from 6 monthly releases to more frequent delivery, we retained the dates from the end of the month, from the original 31st of January and 31st of July releases. That worked really well for those months that happened to end in the 31st of the month, and not quite so well for those that ended on the 28th, 29th, and the 30th. It caused a few practical problems with validation, also some interesting process challenges with the timing of promotion of content and such like. So after considerable community consultation, we all agreed that it was best to standardize those dates to the first of each month. We've gone ahead and implemented that process over the summer, and so the July 2023 International Edition was the final one ever to be published on the last day of the month. Since then, we have published 2 different releases on the new schedule, 1st of September and the 1st of October, and we'll continue to publish on the 1st of the month ad nauseum. So if you have any questions at all, please see the Q&A blog there. It's got lots of answers for you. If you have any specific questions that you can't get answered there, please feel free to come and grab me, and I will be happy to help. And finally, the Terminology Release Advisory Group. This week's session will be held tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. in person in room Muse 1, but also online on Zoom for those of you who can't attend. And as always, you can find the agenda up on the Confluence site there. That contains the Zoom link for you to join if you want to join via Zoom, and also a wide variety of agenda items which we will be desperately trying to cover off in one day. That includes, but is not limited to, annotations, which is the big subject for the week. We're going to try and actually put a lid on that, get some agreement on the different ref set types that we're going to be using, the formats of those ref sets, and most importantly, the release dates that we use for the rollout. We'll be discussing the proposal to deprecate CNC indicators, which I'm sure will have little to no impact on most of you here, but if you are interested in that, please come along and join in the discussions. We'll be talking about any feedback that you might have on the LOINC extension alpha release that was published recently. And finally, going through some of the various ideas for improvements to the formats to the different derivative products that we have. So, if those or any of the other subjects interest you, please head over to the Confluence site, post any questions, or come along to the meeting. Everyone is always welcome. Please come along, stick up your hand, ask questions, or just sit there and listen. Everyone is welcome, and so I would love to see as many of you there as possible. And that is me. Thank you very much.
The question really is Andrew going to be releasing products while he's running the meeting? Andrew? Okay, thank you so much. And I really want to say thanks to the SNOMED International subject matter experts who came and delivered updates to the community to get us started. These really are meant to be a jumping off point for the meetings that follow over the next few days. So really encourage you to reach out to the individuals from the organization with any questions, comments, discussion points you have. Everyone is really happy to engage and discuss any feedback, improvements, ways forward that the community has. So thank you for that. A couple of just small housekeeping items. Just wanted to remind everyone that we do have a welcome reception this evening. It is from 6 till 8 and it's at the Wimbish House. If you're taking the elevator in the building that has all the glass around it, you can actually see the Wimbish House from the hotel. It's less than a 5-minute walk just around the corner. So everyone is welcome. Light refreshments will be served, and it's just a nice social way to say hello. Apologies for our online attendees. If you can make it, you're welcome to come as well. You will have noted also for in-person attendees that out in the foyer here at the registration desk, some bags have been prepared. The team has put some thought into welcoming you to Atlanta and provided you with a couple of tokens and treats from local areas. So thank you to the team, and I hope you enjoy them. Within that bag, there is an events guide. So you'll see here on the screen, October 2023 events guide. It gives you a little bit of information on the business meeting schedule, the expo schedule, and then any of the additional and supplementary events that are happening around that particular schedule that'll take us to end of day on Friday. So if you have any questions, take a look through that. Also it gives you some information in terms of getting the app on your phone, which is really a great way to keep track of the schedule and either the business meetings or the concurrent session and plenary session sessions of interest to you. And then just one last item. Tomorrow evening we are going as a group to Foal, or going to Foaling. I'm going to explain it now. It's a mixture of football and bowling. It's pretty fun. Allison and I have had an opportunity to see it in person. There are a couple spaces left to join us, so if you're interested, please visit the registration desk and we'll get you set up. With that, I'm going to close this opening session. Please come up to any of us from the organization with any questions you have. We're just really happy to see you all here in Atlanta, and we're looking forward to the days to come. Thanks so much.